Hello everyone, welcome to Anything Geek. My name is Zero and we're breaking down the entire OP05 set. We've already done the red and green part, so make sure you check those out. And now it's time for some blue cards. And like always, we start with the leader for the blue cards. It's gonna be Sakazuki of the Navy, 5k power, also dual color leader, blue and black. So it's got 4 life, you know the drill by now. And an activate main, and once per turn, you may discard 1 card to draw a card. And also when attacking, you can give up to one of your opponent's character -1 cost. So that's good, you got a draw built in. Yes, you have to discard, but this is card cycling, okay? You trade 1 card that you can possibly not use right now, and you won't have especially a use later on because you don't have the cards that you need, so you can cycle it and get a new card that possibly would turn the game around. And also black effect gives minus cost to a card. Next we're gonna have Isho of the Navy, 6 cost, 6k power, also a counter of 1000 and a non-play effect until the start of your next turn. Up to one of your opponent's character with a cost of 7 or less cannot attack. That is actually very good because it only costs 6 and you're blocking a 7k or less. My man is out there targeting cards that's out of his league. That's a very cool card. And we already have the first SR for blue in OP05. It's gonna be Uti of the Animal Kingdom Pirate, 4 cost, 5k power with a counter of 1000. And a non-play effect that if your leader is multicolored, which kind of all ours nowadays, I mean we barely have any solid color leader, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck and add 1 to your hand. Then you can place the rest in any order on the top or bottom of your deck. It's a cool card searcher, and also it has no restriction as to which cards you take out of those 3 that you take from the top of your deck. So it's very good, it's very good. Next we have John Giant, 8 cost, 10k power with a counter of 1000, Giant and Navy. It's a vanilla card, but I mean it's an 8k 10 cost, so your opponent's gonna have so much trouble removing this from the board. Next we have Stainless, 4 cost, 5k power with a counter of 1000 from the Navy, and activate main, discard 1 card from your hand and rest this card. Then you can return up to 1 cost 2 or lower character to the bottom of its owner's deck. I mean the word seems like it's making a ton of things, but basically when you activate main, you draw a card. That's all you need to know. Then you can rest and you can return up to 1 cost 2 or lower. Next we have Dalmatian, 4 cost, 5k power, counter 1000, and on KO you can draw 1 card, then place 1 card on the bottom of your deck from your hand. Next we have Basil Hawkin, 4 cost, 5k power with a counter of 1000, blocker, and when blocking, if you have 3 or less cards in your hand, you can draw a card and this character gain plus 1000 for this battle. That's actually a very cool effect because you can draw a card first and foremost. Draw power is always good in this game, but let's say that you want to block with these cards and you also want to save it to keep a bit of bond control. You can potentially draw into a counter 2000 or maybe a counter event that you can then play to defend better with this card. Also you gain plus 1000, so you are 6k defensively. So yeah, I think this is a good blocker. Next we have Basti, 5 cost, 6k power with a counter of 1000, and Donix 1, when attacking you can place up to 1 character with a cost of 2 or less at the bottom of its owner's deck. So any low cost blocker or utility cards that your opponents play, you can bounce them back. It also helps you to keep board control over your opponent. That being said, this is only the low cost character, so it depends on which deck you're facing. If your opponent is mid-range or control, which typically have a low amount of low cost and more middle to big bodies on the board, this might not come useful. But if you're playing against an aggro deck, which typically have more lower cost character on the board, this can be very good. Next we have Acha, 6 cost, 7k power, Donix 1, when attacking, return up to 1 character with a cost of 3 or less to the owner's hand. And this just seems like a bigger Basti that we just talked about. It targets a 3 cost or less, and also it gets them back into the owner's hand and not the deck. So that depends on your playstyle and what you want to do with that. Just make sure you play this against the right deck and not against the deck that's control or mid-range, because you're not gonna have that much targets then. Next card we have Ina, 3 cost, 4000 power with a counter of 1000, and on play if your hand has 5 or less cards you can draw a card. Very good, draw power is always good, so if you can get some advantage of this, really play this, it's gonna be interesting. It's also gonna distract your opponents. Next card we have is the second SR for blue in OP05. It's Borsalino, 7 cost, 8k power. On play you can place up to 1 character with a cost of 4 or less to the bottom of its owner's deck. It's a small removal, but it is still a removal and you're putting an 8k body on the board. Next card we have is Maynard, 2 cost, 2000 power. It's a blocker. Okay, that's just all there is to it. Also has a counter of 1000. We then have Mozambia, 1 cost, 2k power, counter of 1000. During your turn, once per turn, when you draw a card, except for during your draw phase, these cards get plus 2000 power during this turn. So it's a low cost that can kind of get to mid-range power wise. If you can keep this alive, it can be kind of useful early game. Next we have Garp, 3 cost, 3k power, also has a 2k counter. And on play you can draw 2 cards, then return 2 cards from your hand to the bottom of your deck in your desired order. So card cycling, it's very good, we like this. Also he's a 2k counter, so a staple in any blue deck. And we then have X-Drake, 5 cost, 6k power with a counter of 1000. It's a blocker at 6k, so that's very good because he's gonna stay alive. And on play you can look 5 cards from the top of your deck and place them at the top or bottom in any order. We've had this in the past to order the cards on top of the deck, so you know what you're gonna draw. It's still useful and is a 6k blocker, so very good. We then have Diaz Barrel, 2 cost, 2k power with a counter of 1000, and on play you may place one of your character other than this character at the bottom of your deck. You can then draw a card. And we are already at the events portion of the set, and the first event that we're gonna see is Hound Blaze, which is a 2 cost main effect. Up to one of your leader or character gain plus 3k during this turn. Then you can place a character with a cost of 2 or less at the bottom of its owner's deck. It also has a trigger. You can return a character with a cost of 3 or less to its owner's hand. So you get some board control with this, targeting either a 2 or 3 cost, and also a bit of attack power with the main giving 3k to one of your character, but it still feels a bit light to me even with the trigger. And next we have an 8 cost event. It's a waste of human life, yelled by Kobe, and has a main effect that you can place all cost 3 or lower character on the bottom of their owner's deck. Then until there are 5 cards in each player hand, you discard cards. It also has a trigger that you can place all cost 2 or less character at the bottom of their owner's deck, and I mean, there's not gonna be that much cost 3 or lower on the board at that time unless I'm facing an aggro deck. So this feels like very niche as an effect to be that relevant when I'm gonna build a blue deck. For such a high cost, I'm not convinced with the effect. Next we have a 5 cost event, Let Us Begin the World of Violence. Main effect, if your leader is mixed colored, you can draw a card. And then you can return a cost 5 or lower character to its owner's hand. So that to me is already good and better than the event that we just saw, because you play 5 to get rid of a cost 5 on the board, so that's kind of equal to me, so that's already good. But not only that, but I also get to draw a card, which is very good, you know that now, and also has a trigger that if my leader is mixed colored, I can draw 2 cards. So yeah, that is a good event, even if it's a 5 cost. And the very last card for blue is the secret rare Kaido. Yes, I know it's at the end of the set, but it is still a blue card. So we have Kaido, 10 cost, 12k power, very good stat, all the way out there. And a non-play effect, if your opponent has 3 or less life cards, you can draw 4 cards. Draw power. There's draw power. You need draw power. Draw power is just good. So yeah, you should play this. But anyway guys, this was the entire blue section of OP05. I hope you enjoyed it. Which card was your favorite? Don't forget to leave me that in the comment section below. Or maybe you're interested in another color. Don't forget we've already made the red and green breakdown for OP05, so make sure to check those out. And 3 color down, 3 more to go. In the meantime, if you're still here, that means the video was at the very least entertaining to you, so please leave a like and also subscribe to the channel and make sure to hit the notification bell to never miss anything geek. Bye guys.